I know some of you are already doing some things on your campus. I wanted to leave a few minutes for people to share what's working on your campus or other questions you might have. Yes, in the back.
How did you get students to choose to do this course?
Well, we've made it voluntary, so they chose.
Okay.
You know, I have to say we were building on a background of success. Ed 20 and Ed 10 on our campus were like hugely popular. Graduating seniors still credit them as one of the best courses they ever took. So then we launched Ed 118. Same thing, got the buzz amongst the transfer students. And all that happened before we were thinking about veterans and before they were really coming to our campus in big numbers. So we were just already primed. But there was already good student buzz and trust with our office around these types of courses. But pretty much we just built the relationship starting at Spring Insight. We had a special reception for veterans. We got all the players there and just talked about how much we cared about their success. And here's some tools we have for them. And then we hit it again in orientation. Oh, hey, do you want to take this course? It's really going to help you. And then we reached out again right before school started. And it just kind of kept, we just kept dripping on them. So those were all the ways that worked for us. And then once we had a round of it and the students loved it, it started building its own buzz.
Okay, so I think I know the answer to this, but does the course, is it considered part of the student's academic path? So
Yes.
the tuition, VA?
No, it's a legitimate 4-unit upper division course housed in education. Other departments that we've affiliated with in the past for sociology, all you need is a faculty member who's willing to kind of...
And it's part of their plan of study, so there's no issue with benefits.
Yeah, and the way our campus works, even incoming transfer students have a certain percentage of electives that they need, so it fits somewhere. Over here.
What is your percentage of veterans, of veteran population, and then how many is typical course for your 118, how many students?
Our population is still pretty small. We only have a total of 89 students on our campus right now, of 20,000. Now, I know other campuses where the veterans population is 10% of the whole population, right? But of that 89, there was 15 incoming veterans this year, all 15 of them took the course. So it's small. I mean, it's and then because we're 95% male, it's like we've had sections that are all male sections, we're all men and women. Like that's how it looks on our campus. Your campus will be different. You know, each campus. I mean, I've heard some statistics for other campuses' courses, and I'm like, wow, that is just such a whole different dynamic. So use this as a framework. I would not take the UCSD way and plop it in the middle of Texas or Oklahoma or North Dakota or wherever you are. But as a framework, these questions and this process might be useful to you.
Well, we have several military bases next to our campus.
Yes.
So a lot of what we found is a lot of the military students were stationed in that area and they enrolled at the university just for a period of time. But as they are getting out of the service, you know, and they're finding a permanent residence, a lot of them are coming back to us. So it's a larger population. But I just was wondering, you know, at what point do you present this as something that a viable option that we need to kind of move forward and own before population gets larger? But you're starting off small on campus, right?
We started off small because our premise was if we could help one student. You know, like we really believe that this population is so special and so unique, and also is so deserving of the best resources we can give them that we didn't care how small it was. So if you run it with 5, this is what graduate seminars look like. All right, let's try this out. You know, so that's been our philosophy. But I know that budget times are tough, and decisions are being made all the time to cut programs on campuses. So I understand that this is a hard argument to make. Really look at some of the resources on the resource page in terms of some of those documents that will give you some really good information. This population is not going away. They're not. And on top of it, because of some of the challenges, some of the emotional and medical challenges some of them have, again, a minority of the population, but those challenges can play out in big ways on your campus. And so it's also about tending to a population that, with the right support, can be really successful. It's interesting because one of the articles the students love the most, I'd have to look on the list to see which one it is, but basically the article is, are veterans an asset or a risk? And that's the frame of the article. We had the students read it, and it was a really lively discussion about, how are veterans viewed? And a lot of society views veterans as a risk, not an asset. And our whole premise is they're an asset, so let's get you lined up to have all the resources that help you take advantage of that.
First question is, I've always had a sense that it should be somebody with military experience who teaches the course. course, so that person has validity, and I wanted to get your opinion on that.
If possible, yes. I don't, and we still ran with it. But then what I did is I made sure that my discussion leaders and every student we brought in did, and I owned from the very beginning that I didn't. So I think you can navigate that. I wouldn't let that be a roadblock. But wherever you can compensate for that, do. And then on top, because remember, in this course, we're not teaching content in the sense that like they don't have to know math at the end of this course, right? We're teaching a process experience. And so I believe that anyone can support that process experience if they're good at facilitating a group. So that's probably the key thing is make sure your person is really good at facilitating, because more than anything, you're holding the container while they process what's going on. And then you bring in things to kind of encourage a discussion or encourage a topic. What was the second question?
The second one was, we're not limiting it to veterans, we're allowing military families
Yes.
and active duty.
Yes. So we haven't done that. I can really see value in that, adding military families and adding active duty members. It's going to change the dynamic. And I don't know how since I haven't seen it, but my guess is orientation and rank will play out a little differently. The only thing that I would say is that I think any of our students, if you think about bringing family members in the room with any student, does it change their ability to be honest about what's going on with them? So I would be tuned to that. I think there can be benefit in taking a team approach, but at the same time, if someone's struggling with depression and they haven't felt comfortable telling their partner, that might not make it safe for them to talk about it in class.
We were thinking more of allowing children
Oh,
or military,
okay,
not necessarily
their
their
family
with their
members.
family.
Okay, got it. Because some courses are doing that, where their family members can come into the course, and I think that creative writing course does that. Yeah, again, I would just play with it and see what it does. A lot of anonymous surveys. SurveyMonkey is so easy now. There's no reason to not take the pulse of a population you're interested in and see what they think about it. In all the courses I've ever created, my first response is, let me ask the students. And I ask the students what they think they need or what they think what they want, and that becomes the place that I start. And then when I can ask the faculty and staff and the two things line up, then I know I've got a winner. If they're in conflict with each other, I figure out a way to do both.
Do you market beyond your campus to attract students to college?
Yes.
And how do you do that?
That would be for our admissions staff, but I do know that it is now part of the materials that we mention in our brochures, and when we do some of our regional receptions, we mention that we have a veterans program with a Veterans Resource Center, just because we think we're doing it well and we want people to know about it in case that's part of their decision, but we're not heavy-handed about it.
Is there any direct marketing capability that I don't even know how you know who the veterans are to do that?
Oh, well, because they have to activate their GI Bill services, we know because that's part of the documentation. That's how we know that they are.
That's only in the admissions process. There's no
Right.
way for you to communicate directly to veterans about your.
You have an answer?
Yeah, and because we're physically located to a lot of places, we use their readiness officers. We also go to a lot of, they have the two bases that we're next to, they have like a weekly or monthly newsletter, so we have advertisement.
Okay.
And those, we participate in their career fairs and things like that, and then we also have billboards. So we package ourselves as a military-friendly campus, and I think on the front end, we do a good job of streamlining the process, but we're just struggling with, the retention side and building that, and helping to use them and integrate them into the campus culture. Yeah. But that's what we do to recruit students.
What campus are you with?
It's funny because you're with UCSB, I'm with USCB, and every time,
USCB.
yeah, University of South Carolina Beaufort, and so
University of South Carolina.
whenever I Google our campus,
Ours comes up. So yeah, apparently there's ways to get access to that information. It sounds like you're doing a good job partnering with your local bases to draw and connect.
and that's usually the key. I mean, if you, a lot of military professionals, what I found is they want that one-stop shop concept. So they want to have one point person, and then they want that person to help them through the entire enrollment process. So if you, on the recruitment side, if you package that, they'll be more likely to contact you.
I gather that the Veterans Administration is not very helpful in that process.
I think
Nor are they helpful too, I think.
They're helpful when the benefits start rolling in. Yeah, but that's pretty much.
It's challenging. I have met many wonderful, caring people in the Veterans Administration office.
I hear a lot of criticism of
Yeah,
veterans.
I think there's good souls trying to do good work in an administrative structure that stopped working well a long time ago and now has built up its reputation of not working well, and so there's a disconnect there that's kind of valid, but doesn't necessarily relate to the people that you need. So it's hard. Yeah.
What about retention? Have you looked at if this does truly increase their retention or persistence? Is these buzzwords, you know?
Right. Yes, our retention and persistence with veterans who take our course is up. And so, like, right now, it's small enough and all of them took it that was really great for us. When someone leaves, so we still lose a couple, and it's most often due to two things. They either mischose a research university and wanted something that was more vocational and specifically career training than they were going to get with us. Or for example, they wanted to do architecture. We just don't have architecture on our campus, and they didn't know to look for that in the sorting process. Or personal challenges, like substance abuse issues. And they stop out, so we may get them back in a few years, I don't know. It's not, they're not necessarily failing out as much as they're realizing that they can't take this on right now until they're in a better space. So that's what we've seen on our campus. I want to get church ranges up first and I'll come back to you.
Yeah, just real quick, we have about 1,400 on our campus who are taking advantage of the GI Bill. Maybe 50 or 9 of those are veterans and the rest are dependents. Or dependents doesn't sound like in your course, but is that
Right.
Is
So
it be open to them?
well, we didn't do it that way because again, we don't have very many dependents on our campus, and we chose to focus on the military veteran focus. But that population is certainly one you can tap into. It will just change the course a little bit because what we found in ours is really truly for people who've been deployed and have had active military duty, and being the child or partner of, I think, is still a very important experience. It's just a different flavor. Has anybody else done that in the room that wants to share about that? I would get your veterans one focused first and then add, because I think creating a course that works for both populations feels like, to me, my initial reaction is to be a little too watered down to serve either one well. Yes.
So, but I really like what you folks are doing where you're tying into your local military population. We've got a couple National Guard units that are located near us, but we're facing the dilemma that, from being a vet myself, I'm especially embarrassed to go to those folks and invite them onto our campus because we don't have. We have some of this kind of stuff going on, but I'm especially, more embarrassed that California's pulling it off. We can't do it. Well, just the liberal nature, like as you said, versus the conservative culture and the veterans culture kind of thing. And we're almost the reversal of that in our community, but our campus apparently isn't. So to me, I'm kind of wondering how you get over that hump of having something for them to come to that you can go out and bring that body of veterans into, but you need to have enough of them in it to make it.
Well, there's two things. We're actually talking about three things. One is how we reach out to them and let them know that we know that they exist and that we know that their experience might be different. And you have some great things about how you market and package that. The second part is just, you can do this tomorrow. Call people on your campus who are in student health and active colleges, offices, and housing, and just create an informal committee. And if you guys are talking to each other and you're coordinating your efforts, that is huge. And that can take them from the application through their experience. That's outside of the course. You don't even have to have a course. You can do that right away. And then if you want to build a course, those would be the natural people you would invite into it. But even just getting all your people from those different services who touch a veteran's experience through at the table, talking to each other about, gosh, how can we do this a little differently? That in itself is huge. And then that becomes, you cycle back and market that. We've got, from application to graduation service for you. And we've been mindful of it. So, and let me just tell you, none of these ideas on our campus started at the top. They started from our office, which was Office of Student Life in the Division of Student Affairs. You cannot get lower on the academic totem pole. And we just partnered with faculty. When I got my doctorate, I eventually got a teaching appointment, so now I became the instructor of record, and I could do some of these things more naturally. But before that, we were partnering with the dean of the college, who was cool enough to get what we were doing. So even if you have the lowest level of power on your campus, I believe you can make a difference, because it's just bringing together a lot of other similar caring folks and just talking to each other. will do a lot by just getting that organized.
On that note, one of the things I have found is that Vietnam vets, there's a number of those folks. If you have them on campus,
Yes, Vietnam vets.
this is a great outlet for them to
Absolutely.
connect in with folks. To me, it's just fascinating how it's given them a new life to focus on this.
And actually, there's a great point. On our campus, we have a religious studies course called Voices of a Stranger. And the whole course is looking at communities that have been marginalized, and almost every course is like a panel of local community members. And we tapped into that instructor to get his list of local Vietnam vets who live in the community, who don't really have a tie to our campus, and asked them if they wanted to mentor some of our students. So yes, there's ways to just tap into who's living around you through a couple connections. And you know, we're so connected now that if you get one name, that's going to lead to 5 names, and those 5 names determine more. One last question, and then I'll wrap it up.
Well, I was just going to make a comment. I'm from the University of South Carolina, Columbia, and so we have spent the last 2 years creating a systematic approach to supporting veterans. And the first thing that we did a needs assessment. Simple 10 questions. What is your greatest need? Do you have knowledge of these 5 academic support resources? Do you have knowledge of these 5 student support resources? And what we found was, what we thought, like, they wanted transition scores, but our veterans did not want one. And so we used that data to really construct something pretty simple that one person does with the team. So I would advise to start really there too. So really listen to your guys, because in my experience, it seems that every veteran population is a little bit different on campus.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And with SurveyMonkey now, that is such a simple thing to pull off. Let me just close by telling you one thing. So I do work for lynda.com now, and what we do is online training videos from business skills to every computer software and academic software students might need. And a lot of campuses are now getting subscriptions. So UCLA has a subscription, almost all the Ivy Leagues have a subscription. And what it means is people have free online access to learn anything at any time, even on their iPhone. What I've given you is a free 7-day trial, so check it out. Your campus may already have a service, but if not, it's a great dialogue, because for us, getting our incoming students the computer skills they need in PowerPoint, Excel, and Word, and all that stuff to be academically successful. And then all the business skills training is preparing them for graduation. And they can get certificates of completion and things. So it might be worth checking out. And then I've started authoring course. My first course came out yesterday, delegating tasks to your team, and I'm about to do a 7-part series on leadership skills, leading with emotional intelligence, leading through change, that kind of thing. So look for those, but I wanted to make sure you knew what lynda.com is about. It's one of the best kept secrets. I'm trying to not be a secret anymore. So check that out. And then on my website, I will have all these things posted. Good luck to you. I'll stick around if there's a few more questions. And good luck with your efforts to support our veterans.